All right, I have muted everyone, and by all means, unmute. I'm actually expecting some questions on this one because we're going to talk about scoring, match point scoring, and reading results sheets. And this is a thing that I don't have a plan for this necessarily. I'm going to kind of wing my way through it, and it's clear that there will be occasions where it's not clear. You have a question, and I'm going to encourage you to unmute and ask those questions. We can have a little bit of give and take in 15 minutes. I think that'll work out. Let me see. Let me double check that everyone is muted. Here we go. Okay. I'm starting on my website on bridgemojo.com just because it's a handy way to find the results of our games, and I'll show you how to find games from other places as well, because I want to talk about what the actual scoring is. If you click on games on my site, it takes you to the Pasadena Pomona Downey Virtual Bridge Club, VBC. And one of the links here is the game results, or you can just scroll down to it. The schedule, how to find the game, and the game results. The interesting thing is that there are 3 different places to see the results. The first one, the BBO results, are available immediately after the game, and they're also the hardest to read and the worst formatted. They're very difficult to discover anything from. I don't even bother with them. The next best place is, my favorite is the Common Game. And on the Common Game site, you can find all of our games listed in order this way. But what I really want to talk about is what you're seeing when you look at one of these games. I just picked a sort of a random game from the Duncan Bridge Club. Let's see, this is 9:45 on February 18th, Thursday. This was an open game, so it's a fairly big game. And you see there are 16 pairs in here. This was a single section game, so a one winner game. They were playing 8 tables, and it was just... Oh no, this is the north-south. No. This is a single movement game, I think. So I want to talk about what all of this means here and what match point scoring is. Here's board 1, for example. As you know, when you play a bridge hand, you get a score. You get a bridge score. It's not like in the days of rubber bridge. You can't have a few points on for getting a part score in diamonds or something like that. Instead, of course, the vulnerability is assigned. If you're playing board 1, nobody is vulnerable. If you're playing board 2, north-south is vulnerable. If you're playing board 3, east-west is vulnerable. And that's true all around the world, everywhere. The positions of the dealer and the vulnerability, they rotate through all of the possibilities in 16 hands. So when you go through boards 1 through 16, you have played every possible combination of dealer and vulnerability. And then it recycles with boards 17, 18, 19, and so on. So the vulnerability, of course, changes the bonuses for making games and slams, and it increases the penalties for going down in a contract. Here's an interesting... let me find a board that's kind of flat. This one is a little bit flat. This board 6... every pair, let's see, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 tables in play, so there are 16 pairs in the game. On the left are the north-south pairs, on the right are the east-west pairs, and here it tells the contract that was played and what the result was. We've taken to using the European format where it shows over tricks. 4 spades making +2, meaning they won 2 over tricks. And then a raw score is computed over here, and these are sorted in the north-south order. So the best east-west scores are at the bottom, the best north-south scores are at the top. And now this column is where is the one that's really important. These are the match points, because what we do is compare your score with all of the other tables playing this hand and sort them in order. And for each pair that plays, we assign a match point score. For every pair you did better than, you get 1 match point. For every pair that you tied with, you get half of a match point. So these are the match point scores. Now, because there are 8 tables in play, the possible maximum score on a board is 7, which means that you did better than 7 other tables. If I look at, I've got a little spreadsheet here. If we have 8 tables in play, the top on a board will be 7, which is one less than the tables. And let's say that we played 18 boards. So the maximum 126. That assumes that you got the best score of anybody on every board. And my internet connection may have been a little unstable there for a moment. This can be converted into a percentage. You can get a percentage on every board, and the match points, when they're totaled up, when you add up the match points from each board, you can assign a percentage of the maximum possible score. 50%, for instance, would be 63 match points if you played 18 boards with 8 tables in a game. The more tables you have in a game, the higher the top is and the better the comparisons are. So if we look at this board for an example, the best scores for north-south were in 4 spades making 2 overtricks for a score of 480. And notice that three teams, 3 pairs did exactly that. So these 3 pairs, they all did better than 5 other teams. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's 5 match points of teams they did better than. And then for each one they tied with, they get half a point. Half a point here and half a point here. So 5 to 5.5, 6. And we get to 6 match points. The East-West teams, they're sorted so that their best scores are at the bottom. So if North-South gets 170 points on this board, they did worse. They got the worst score for North-South and the best score for East-West. East-West here earned 7 match points by doing better than 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 tables. So in this score, North-South got a 0 percentage, East-West got 100 percentage. 7 is 100% on each board. Here's a board that went for East-West example. The best North-South scores. Well, let me get one that went a little bit both directions. Here we go. This is a board that was very closely matched up. It's interesting that the best North-South score at the top here is a 1 no trump doubled by South making an overtrick. The best East-West score here was 2 clubs doubled by West, making, apparently. So that was a very good East-West score. Now, you can think of these as being all sorted out on a number line. If you were to pass this board out, for instance, your score would be right in the middle here. You would get an absolutely average score. If you passed it out, you get a 0. And 0 falls right in the middle of all these plus and minus scores. So you would have done better than 4 tables in either direction. So that would be a 50% score. So that's why passing out is not a 0 board. It's often like a 50% board, and it may be close to 50%.
Well, Bill, can I have a question here? Quick question.
Yes.
I mean, a good defense will actually win more number score than you have a deal.
Yes, a good defense is very important. In fact, if you look at this score right here, the tables on north-south, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 tables played it in hearts by east. Everyone who went to 4 hearts by east, they went down either 2 or 1. And the tables that went down 2, you can see there are 4 of them grouped together. Those all got the best score for north-south. And those are signs of good defense. And it's not likely, when there are 4 tables that all had the same result, it's not likely that it was bad declarer play. It was probably good defense. Now, this pair, yes. Mm-hmm.
This board that you're looking at is also interesting to show that it's not always about getting to 4 hearts or 4 spades. You need to know when to stop. So this is an example where
Mm-hmm.
East stopped at 3 no trump,
Right.
right, and get the best score.
Right. East West here they have a fit in hearts, and they have 25 high card points between them. So it's not unreasonable for them to be in game, and it's not unreasonable for them to play in four hearts. But it's a hand that's unlucky in four hearts, and it is lucky in three no trump. I'm not going to study the bidding and the play of this hand, but it is interesting to see how this one was different. Let's see. If I look at it, this was an interesting game. If on hand one here, notice that every table played it in hearts by West. Some played in two, some played in three. Different pairs, the bidding got pushed up to the 3 level. No one bid a game, but everyone won the same 10 tricks, exactly the same. On a board like this, notice that everyone gets 2.5 match points. In this game, there were 6 tables in play, so a possible top is 5, and that means that if I'm at this table, I tied with 5 other boards, so 5 times a half is 2.5. And that's how every table got 2.5 match points. So this is a dead tie. And notice that in this case, it didn't matter whether you bid 2 hearts or 3 hearts. You all got the same score. You all won the same 10 tricks. This one is interesting because 2 pairs bid a slam, and they're in South. So they earned 4.5 match points on a possible maximum of 5. They did better than 4 pairs, and they tied with 1. These 3 that all did not bid the slam, they earned 2 match points for North-South, and East-West got 3. So you can see they're very close to the center on that one. This one pair that didn't win the 6 tricks, they got 0 points. One of the problems with match point scoring is that it very much distorts the difference between small scores. If you can earn 110 points on a hand, and then everyone else is in a slightly higher contract going down to for 100, or the East-West is playing it for 100, your 110 could win all of the match points. Let me see if I can find an example of that. Here's one for East-West, in fact, where 2 tables in East-West, they played it, let's see, 5 tables all played it in 3 no trump by West. But these 2 tables made 2 over tricks. And as a reward, they earned 4.5 match points. The table that only won 1 over trick earned 2.5 match points. Now in match points, that's an enormous difference between 4.5 and 2.5 as a percentage. You look at the absolute score, it's tiny. It's the difference between 660 and 630. If you're playing at the kitchen table for a penny a point or what have you, this is a 30-cent difference. In match point duplicate bridge, it's an enormous difference. And because of that, match points, it distorts the value of over tricks. It also is less damaging for scores that are very bad. An example would be this board, as a matter of fact, where they played in 3 spades doubled and they went down 2. And North-South earned 500 points for setting them 2. And they were rewarded handsomely. They got 5 match points and East-West got 0. The thing is that if this score had been higher, suppose they had been in 6 spades doubled, down 5, that would be 1,400. And if they had earned a 1,400 here, they would get exactly the same match point score as they did for getting 500. In other words, there was no difference. So disasters in match point bridge are less disastrous. All you can get is a 0. And you can make up for it by getting 100% on the next board immediately. Whereas if you were playing this one for a penny a point, you might have gone for $14 instead of $5, which would be an enormous difference. So match point scoring, it distorts the absolute values of the game in terms of the comparisons. There are other ways to score bridge, and my preference actually is what's called IMP scoring, international match points, and it's used primarily in team games. It can also be used in pair games, but it does reward you for getting good bridge scores, and it does not reward tiny differences like the difference between 100 and 110, or the difference between 620 and 650. So those get a tiny bit of imps, but the difference between 620 and 170 gets a lot of imps, whereas in Matchpoints it may only get 1 or 2 match points. I know this is a lot to take in, but I want to introduce Matchpoints, and if you have questions and subjects that I could take up next week, I'll be happy to. Otherwise, what I may do is move on to another play subject, and I think I'm going to recycle to defense. But for now, my time is up, and we have a game at 10 o'clock. I hope you all do well. Thank you all for coming this morning.